Now, just about everybody, especially here in the States, knows about the British invasion that happened here in the States, but not too many know about the American invasion that happened across the pond in the 70s. Group like yours and Sparks and others made a big splash in Europe. First, though, you moved to England, I think, in 1971 and started working with Mickey Most. Could you talk about that partnership and the impact that your band made in the UK?
Sure. I was in the Pleasure Seekers first, and then that changed into Cradle. That was from 14. Then when I was 18, 19, it changed to Cradle. The band changed. It was still an all-girl band, and I was, instead of being the total front person, because we were really out of touch, we were a show band in the Pleasure Seekers, and then the festivals were happening, and we were not popular then. It was a different kind of, so we decided to change the band, and I went backwards a bit, and little sister came in singing lead, and I just played a bit. At that point, we started to write our own songs, and I wasn't obviously as happy in that band because I'm an upfront girl. That's who I am.
You're an alpha. You were definitely an alpha.
Yeah, sure. But I did accept the try to change the format. I understood that. So that was the band that Elektra Records saw me in first, and they offered me a solo contract. I did 2 songs, lead only. And that same week, Mickey Most came to Detroit to record Jeff Beck at Motown Studios. My brother found out, got him to see the band. I did 2 songs. Mickey offered me also a solo contract. Same week, crazy time. Elektra Records, Jack Holtzman said, I want to take you to New York and put a male band around you and turn you into the next Janis Joplin. And I went, Mickey Most said, I'll take you to England. We'll make an album and you'll be the first Suzi Quatro. And I went,
that's what I want.
Right. Because I'm not Janis Joplin. I love her, but you wouldn't compare me to her. That's not who I am. I'm a rocker. She was more blues, and she's not a musician. I'm a bass player. I'm a serious bass player. So Mickey saw who I was. And just the end of the story, this is a fun little bit. Mickey saw me do 2 songs, and he did this, went to the back of the hall, we talked. And he called his wife that evening back in London. And he said, Chris, I found it. At last, I found it. And she said, what did you find? He said, I don't know, but I found it. Perfect.
Perfect.
It's funny, I don't know.
It's funny you say that because one of my favorite lines of any movie is in Ray. And someone is asking, obviously it's Jamie Foxx playing Ray. And he says, how do you do this so well? And he says, I just make it do what it do, baby. And I think that's perfect. I don't think that the talented ones like yourself really know it. You just do what it does, right?
I'm very honest about it. Everybody talks about I was the first, and I didn't have a blueprint. I had to find my own niche, and all I know is that I didn't fit anywhere. This is what I was sure of. I'm not that. So what am I? So what that forces you to do when you have something is you have to find your niche. So I found my niche, and my niche had not been done before. So I'm happy to say I'll take that to my grave, which I didn't know at the time I was doing until the documentary in 2019, Suzi Q. I was just simply sticking to me, knowing I didn't fit and refusing to compromise, whatever it was this was.
Right.
I can't explain it. I can explain it now better because I'm older. But at the time, I was just being me, and I refused to change. I refused to compromise who I was for anybody.
And it worked because your first single called Rolling Stone reached #1 in Portugal. Talk about going deep at your first at bat. That must have been a huge thrill.
Mickey was doing all these recordings with me, and Mickey, bless his soul, he didn't know how to capture me on record. And he's the first to say so. He just, like he said to Chris, I don't know what she is. He knew I was something.
Right.
He believed in me as a star, but he didn't know what I was. So Mickey didn't know who I was, and he would be the first one to say that. But eventually, I got my band together, my UK band, and we went on the first ever Slade tour. I was the opening act. And then everything, the jigsaw puzzle came together.